Hey, so we are here today to talk a little bit about data. And instead of just worksheeting it, we're going to go and actually create some of our own data and make some graphs. Okay, I feel like that's really the best way to understand what a graph is telling you, to make your own. So we're going to pretend that I sat out in front of the school for 10 minutes and counted cars. Okay. And in that time that I was out in front of the school counting cars, I saw 6 blue, 8 red, 2 green, 10 white, and 9 black cars. And so I want you to go outside, or it could be in your house, and just find some kind of data that you can collect, something you can count. So, it could be cars, it could be anything that you can count that's going to have a few different categories. You can go around asking people what their favorite color is. I don't know how many people you really want to talk to in this day and age, but find something that you can count, something that you can survey and create some data from. Okay. Let's say you need at least 3 categories and you need to count at least 10 or 15 things. So here's mine, okay? Car colors. And I'm going to take that data that I have, that chart, and I'm going to make 2 different graphs. I'm going to make a bar graph and I'm going to make a pie graph. And I want you to do that also, okay? So you're going to collect the data, you're going to find out how many of things, or you can make it up like I did, okay? And then we're going to make 2 graphs off of it. So first, the bar graph. And bar graphs are good for comparing numbers. How much more, which is the most? It gives you a real easy way to see that. So, excuse me. I'm going to start by putting my different colors at the bottom of my graph here. Okay, so now I'm going to have a bar that goes up for each color. See how that works? And then the next step is going to be to set the scale for this axis. So looking at my data, I know that I need to go up to 10. So if I've got all this to just get to 10, right, that kind of helps me figure out how far apart my numbers can be. So for instance, if I know I'm going to 10, half of that is 5, okay? 3 needs to be about there. Okay, so I put numbers up that axis so that I know how tall to make each one of my bars now. Okay, so blue was 6. Right, red was 8. I'm going up to the matching number from here. Okay. Green, only 2. White, 10. And then black, 9. Okay, so easy peasy, right? So now I can see, well, I had the most white, but quite a few black and a lot of red. My least popular color, it's easy to see, was green. Not a lot of green cars on the road. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 1 was creating the data. putting it in a chart like this. Step 2, make a bar graph out of it. Okay. Step 3, this is where the math gets a little bit more complicated. So I want you to get a calculator. Okay. I'm just using my phone. And the first thing you need to do a pie chart, because pie charts, they don't compare numbers like this. They kind of do, but their real purpose is to show parts of a whole. Okay, so if I'm showing you parts of a whole, I need to know what the whole is, and the whole is going to be my total. So I'm just going to add up my numbers. Okay, 6 plus 8 plus 2 plus 10 plus 9. Okay, so that was 35. So that means, put it up here. Okay, so 35 is my total. And 35 is also 100%. Okay? So this whole pie is 100%. It's everything. And now each one of these will become a fraction. Okay? And this number, this will become the top number in my fraction. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my bar graph. We've done that step. Okay, so my total is 35. That means that I had 6 out of 35 blue, 8 out of 35 red, 2 out of 35 green, 10 out of 35 white, 9 out of 35 black. Okay. Here's where the calculator comes in handy. We're going to find the decimal equivalent of each one of these. So it's not hard if you have a calculator. Okay. A fraction is really a division problem. Okay. So I know 35 is my total. So to find the decimal for this, I'm just going to do 6 divided by 35. Okay. And that told me a big number. So I'm only really looking at the first 2 digits, and then I'm going to use that third digit to round. Okay, so look, it was decimal 171. That's 17%. Okay. 8 out of 35 is next. 8 divided by 35. 228. Decimal 228. That 8 is going to round this 2 up. 23%. Okay. 2 divided by 35. These are my white cards, I think. 0.057. Okay. The 7 rounds the 5 up. That's going to be 6%. Okay. White cars. 10 out of 35. 10 divided by 35. 0.285. Okay, let me show you this part again. I think this might be the confusing part. I've got a big long number, okay, but I'm only looking at the first 3 digits really, and I'm only going to write the first 2. That third digit is just for rounding. So I wrote down 285 right from here. 285. The 5 rounds the 8 up, so it's 29%. Okay. Last one, 9 out of 35. 9 divided by 35. 0.257. Okay. The 7 rounds the 5 up. 26%. Okay. So now I'm looking at these numbers, right? And I'm going to make slices out of my pie. So there's some things you kind of need to know about percents when you're carving it out of a pie, okay? Half of my pie is 50%, okay? So I don't have any numbers that are even close to 50%. none of my cars were half of the group. The biggest I have is 29%. Okay, now if I cut that half into fourths, each one of these is 25%. Okay, and that hopefully that makes sense, because 425s, just like if you have 4 quarters is a dollar, 425s is 100%. So that's the whole. So now I can use these to estimate. Okay, so for example, 23 and 29 are that's almost 50, right? It's 52. So look, if I take, I'm just estimating here, okay? I'm not going to be super critical of your pie if your slices are not exactly what I think they should be, okay? So I'm going to make this slice be my white slice. Okay, right now it's a perfect right angle, okay, which is 25%, and I want it to be a little more. I want it to be 29%. So I'm going to take this right angle and I'm going to make it obtuse a little bit, okay, just a little. All right, so that's my white slice now, and that represents 29% of my pie, okay, because a perfect fourth, an L, a right angle, 1/4 is 25%. Now, this, I'm going to make this be, so I went just a little bit over, because remember how I said 29 and 23 was 52? So I want it to be just a touch more than half of my total pie. That's going to be my red. Okay, so I've done those two. Okay. Now, I know I still need to do black. Black is 26%. Okay, so this piece here is 25. It's 25, right? I want 26. Well, that's pretty close to 25. So I'm just going to make this line just a touch bigger, right? The slice, I should have said. And that's going to be my black. I think I said red a minute ago. It's going to be my black slice at 26. Black. Red was 23%. Okay. And now these two together actually make 23%, 6 and 17. So what I'm doing now is I'm carving up what's left. Okay. So 17 should be much bigger than 6. It's almost 3 times bigger. So I'm just going to guesstimate it. I'm going to guess that it's about like that. Okay. So that is going to be my blue slice at 17%. And that is going to be my green slice at 6%. Okay. So I made 2 graphs, right? Step 1 was actually collect the data. So you're going to go out, you're going to count something. Okay. I want at least 3 different categories, 3 different things. Like I have 5 categories, which are colors. Yours could be anything. Like you can even just make them up. Okay. The next thing that I did was I made that bar graph that I have since erased. Okay. Now with the pie chart, I'll put these steps in your template, but you need to total it up. So I found out that my total was 35, right? And that was everything. That's 100%. After you know your total, you can figure out these little fractions, 6 out of 35, 8. So it's the part over the total, the part over the total, the part over the total. And then you just divide it on a calculator. That was this stuff. And that told me how big my slices would be. Okay. And then I just kind of estimated them. When I look at your pie charts, I'm just looking to see that the bigger numbers have a bigger slice. Okay. I'm not going to be like, oh, this pie, this is half an inch too big. I'm not going to be super critical like that, so don't sweat it. Just do your best to make sure the big numbers get a bigger slice and try to make it all relate to each other. Okay. So, like for instance, my 29, it's a little bit bigger than my 23, and it's a little bit bigger than my 26. And then these two fit into the other pieces. Like they kind of relate to each other. Okay. So we're gonna make a chart, a bar graph, and a pie graph. Big assignment, but I feel like it really helps you understand data. Okay. Hopefully it's more fun than a worksheet.